Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Hello, Internet. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and this is episode 123. We're doing it live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. If you want to join us, we've got chat standing by, and we're going to be playing a game of Gaming Would You Rather later, so we'll be looking for chat to chime in. And if you're watching on YouTube, listening on Audible, Spotify, any of the podcast platforms, thank you so much. While you're there, give it a like, a subscribe, turn on those notifications, thumbs up, comments, all that stuff. Make sure you chime in with your Would You Rather answers when we get there in the show. Joining me to go over all kinds of fun stuff today, Stephen Byrne, a.k.a. Torchwick. What's up, boss?
Not much. I wasn't sure if I was going first or second here.
Yeah, you're going first. Welcome to the show, first timer.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
You got a shark coming in. Like,
he is fine. Do not look at him. He does not appreciate eye contact.
Oh, okay. I'm a little concerned for your safety. Harvey kind of peeping in right behind Val there in the shot. Careful, buddy.
Does it line up? Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
sorry,
right.
Val.
White lines up.
Also on the line, resident artist of Ready Check Radio, Yod. What's up, boss?
Oh, you know, the usual stuff, drawing things. Apparently a Cthulhu thing going on here.
You and tentacles, man. You and tentacles.
Hey. If people pay for it, I will draw it.
Yeah, hey, man. You got to sell those feet pics somehow. Hey, just a quick show note. We do have a show next week, as normal. But remember, we talked about this before, but just a reminder, the following weekend, we will not have a show. We actually won't have the Relic Grind that week either. That'll be the weekend of March 7th, Friday, March 7th. Torchwick and I and some of our friends will be headed to Raleigh, North Carolina for some Final Fantasy trading card team tournaments. So, yeah, we'll be gone all weekend. No shows that week. Shows as normal next week. No shows the following week. None of them. So, yeah, just a little show note there. So let's go over a few bigger news bits this week before we play some Would You Rather. Apparently, it really doesn't matter how good your game does, guys. Like, most of the time, hey, a game doesn't do well, people get laid off. That happens. Or games are just kind of doing their thing and people get laid off. That happens.
It beat expectations.
Right. It sucks. We've seen way too much of it in 2024 and early here in 2025 as far as the gaming industry. That's, not great for Torchwick, who's about a year and a half away from finishing a game design degree.
Think about it.
that just
I hope
means
the bubble bursts.
Yeah, right.
That just means you have to make your own gaming studio.
Right.
Oh, I've got that kind of money in my back pocket.
Yeah, right. Hit up that shark, see what it's carrying in its wallet there. But apparently, we live in a world where even if your game does well, and I'm not talking it's doing okay. I'm talking like, it might be one of the most successful things on the market at the moment. You still might end up laid off.
Believe it or not, also laid off.
Yeah. That's the case here for Marvel Rivals. We've talked about it on the show here multiple times. Troy and Dom being big fans of the old hero shooter, thinking it does a lot of great stuff compared to Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 even acknowledging, they're kind of in a little bit of a scramble mode. They've implemented a new perk system this season on that side that, hey, a game that's hard to balance. Let's throw in another system that makes balancing more fun. But Marvel Rivals just blowing the doors off of everything lately. It is still, as of this exact moment, over 300,000 players on Steam right now. As of right now. It's like almost 330,000 players on Steam. And that's just Steam. That's just Steam.
They are They're doing very well for themselves.
Yeah, we don't do the losing the glasses redemptions during shows. we
Yeah.
we set that rule long ago. You can redeem. I mean, Torchwick, you could go ahead and lose yours. It's not a huge deal
I
there.
could, yeah. I'm not
I'd have
supposed
to pull
to.
my contacts out, and that doesn't
Yeah.
work very well. Putting them back in.
Ooh.
But even making that type of buku bucks, and that's just Steam, right? This is a multi-platform game.
Right.
NetEase did drop layoffs in North America. So title is game director Thaddeus Sasser. Now, to be clear, that's not the game director, like the game director,
Right,
This is a
right.
Chinese developed game primarily. But
Yeah.
North American team suffered layoffs of their game director, a level designer Jack Burrows, and then basically that entire team. And when I
Yeah,
say
sorry,
no, go ahead.
from what I understand, they closed the studio in Seattle.
Yeah, well, they closed a portion of it right now. We believe they're going to close the rest of it too. But as
Right.
far as the Marvel Rivals side of things, it was basically like 6 to 8 people. That entire North American squad. Now, whether that's going to like influence or impact things down the road, maybe localization and certain Western feedback, I don't know. But that's is kind of indicative of something NetEase seems to be doing across the board, and that's pulling out of markets that aren't China as far as their development team. Not just in North America, but they've shut down different studios and teams in Japan and some other countries as well, just kind of contracting the business back into China. But really weird to see Torchwick for a game that's just like balls crazy successful right now and doesn't show any signs of like having that massive 90% drop off slowdown that other games have. This has been just chugging along since its December launch.
Yeah, and that's kind of what worries me is if this impacts the game at all, you're gonna bring that 90% drop off a lot sooner than you want it. Because people are gonna be mad. People are mad that this happened in the first place, but like casual players, if they start to notice any sort of quality decline, then you're gonna bring that drop off that you've been avoiding for however long, an impressive span of time. And you're going to do it at a time where you've just gotten rid of part of your development team and aren't going to be able to bring people back as effectively.
Yeah, I mean, their statement that they dropped, which again came after, all of this was reported. I reported it as soon as I saw like LinkedIn posts on MMO Bomb, and then it was like a day later that NetEase finally responded. They ended up saying, hey, we recently made the difficult decision to adjust Marvel Rivals' development team structure for organizational reasons and to optimize development efficiency for the game. This resulted in a reduction of a design team based in Seattle that is part of a larger global design function in support of Marvel Rivals. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of those affected and will be treating them confidentially and respectfully with recognition for their individual contributions. So sounds like some type of, really bizarre way to talk about like a severance or some type of assistance package on their departure. Just a guess, though. We want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Marvel Rivals, which continues to be led by lead producer Wei Kong Wu and game creative director Gungyun Chen in Guizhou, China, remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience. We're investing more, not less, into the evolution and growth of this game. We're excited to deliver new superhero characters, maps, features, and content to ensure an engaging live service experience for our worldwide player base. So, yeah, typical PR stuff, yeah.
Yeah. It is very. I mean, don't not to go into politics of stuff or anything, but China-based companies do tend to want to be China-centric. And in this case, as I think it was one of the articles you put in the show notes, the Marvel Rivals almost didn't actually come out. They almost decided not to make the game because it was a licensed IP where the company seems to want to own their IPs as opposed to licensing it.
Yeah,
So
NetEase has been a bit up and down for
yeah,
years now.
yeah. So and I mean, in this case, they made the right decision to go with the license because I mean, it's freaking Marvel, as long as you don't completely screw it up like that other game, you're gonna make some bucks. So I mean, it is a thing, and all things considered, does seem like the company is restructuring to pull back into China for developmental purposes, for their employees and stuff. I do wonder if they did offer any of the employees in the Seattle branch, hey, if you come over to the main studio, relocate, we'll keep you on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really
It's always been NetEase has been a, like, kind of financially back and forth
Right.
on some decisions, and a lot of that is attributed to William Ding, one of the founders and the current CEO of the company. And Bloomberg, actually, to your point, reported earlier this week that there's people in the company that they're always concerned because of Williams' decisions back and forth, kind of seeming almost random at times and chaotic in some. And one of them was directly about Marvel Rivals. A reporter said from the inside said under anonymity, said before it was released, there were discussions about it being canceled, Marvel Rivals.
Right.
Ding objected, apparently, to paying Walt Disney Company for the use of popular characters like Wolverine and Spider-Man, and at one point actually asked his artists to swap in their own hero designs. That ultimately aborted effort, cost the company millions of dollars, and was emblematic of the abrupt changes ushered in by the CEO. Now, it's important to note, a NetEase spokesperson denies that entire account and says that the company has enjoyed a close partnership with Marvel since 2017, and there was never any consideration of not using the Marvel license, Torchwick.
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, look how much money the Marvel license brought in. Of course that was the plan from the start.
Well, that's the thing, too. When we found out about it, we were like, yeah, I mean, this is just going to, as long as they don't screw up the monetization, if it's as good as Overwatch and uses Marvel characters, it is going to do fine. Like, the
Currently a low bar.
Yeah, right. But fair. But one of the things that is, like, funny to think about is the games that try to hit that hero shooter space, that team-based hero shooter space, or even like the MOBA space and stuff like that. It's the ones that try to use their own IP that usually collapse fastest. And that was apparently, again, NetEase denies it, the direction Ding wanted to go in. And it was like, this probably took off the way it did because of the Marvel IP.
Well, okay. So some things I've noticed with games that use pre-gen characters. All right, you do have to strike gold when you come up with these character designs and give them backgrounds. I mean, look at League of Legends.
Yeah, it's a problem Overwatch 2 is having right now compared to Marvel Rivals.
Going to Overwatch 2 in a second, but you look at League of Legends, they created characters that seem interesting, they had backstory, they started creating little animations for the costumes, which really skyrocketed the game, in my opinion, to people that aren't hardcore players. And then of course the animations come on stuff. And then we have Overwatch 2, which probably shouldn't have been created because there was no reason to compared to Overwatch 1. But no, they went in and created Overwatch 2. And now they're trying to create characters after characters, and without the promise that they had of a single player storyline, which gets you involved. It gives you that involvement in the character.
Yeah.
So you get sucked in their story and you want to play them more. Without that, with characters that they've created that have no backstory, nobody cares. Then you come out with Marvel Rivals, which these characters have history upon revised history upon generation, which multiverse version, and you've got a wealth to pull from. So yeah, it's the way to go.
It's just crazy to think that the CEO of a gaming company that was part of the founding teams, it's not like their new CEO or anything like that.
Right.
Like,
right.
Literally thought, maybe we don't want to pay a licensing fee and maybe we should make our own characters. It's crazy because, like, if you want to do this type of game, you absolutely really want to find an IP to collaborate with, and just like not have to worry about that. They are just dropping heroes left and right. Like the second half of the Fantastic Four got dropped in this past week.
Yeah, you've got characters waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah, they're playing. Go ahead.
Look at Blade. They have his model already in the game on the newest map, and now people are already speculating that isn't going to happen if it's Bobby no backstory. Like,
yeah, it's good stuff. You know, they're doing they're gangbusters, but layoffs suck.
The only other thing I could think of is like, because they are a Chinese company, they do have to deal with the Chinese government.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which because Marvel has such a long history, they do have Chinese characters in their
their pantheon.
Yeah, their pantheon. So in that case, much like, and I have to go back to like a Smite.
Which, by the way, has not had a great week and a half, 2 weeks either.
Right. But when the game was first still in beta, they had the big event down here in Georgia where they had the big tournament, stuff like that. And I was able to talk to some of the artists and stuff that worked on the game. And before, was it Tencent that came in and purchased a section of it? I think, right?
For hi-rez?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was one of the Chinese companies. It was one of the Chinese companies that came and backed them a bit. And because of that, all the Chinese gods that they had in there, they had to completely
they have shares, yeah.
Yeah, they had to completely redesign the Chinese gods that they were having.
Oh, yeah.
Game, because it didn't, the Chinese government said, no, you can't portray them like that.
Yeah.
So,
Chirac, hopefully that license lasts a while. Disney will charge both kidneys to renew. Yeah, they absolutely will.
The money they're making, I think they'll be happy to renew anyway.
Yeah, because
speaking of Smite, though, things are not going well at hi-rez at all. We talked a couple of months ago about a wave of layoffs that CEO Stuart Chisholm said reflected a failure in his leadership. Well, that's fine, but they had another round of layoffs a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that was massive. Multiple games have closed down. Multiple games are going into maintenance mode, including the original Smite. Now, the plan was that they were both going to operate in tandem. That's no longer the plan. The original Smite is headed to no more major updates. Like, all of the high-res eggs are in the Smite 2 basket fully at this point.
It works so well for Blizzard.
Yeah. One of the things that's like, it makes me just absolutely furious is that they do a stream every week for Smite 2 stuff. And they had one employee on that stream touting up the future of Smite and Smite 2 and everything. And the next day that they were one of the people laid off. It was like, you literally had them on your stream yesterday, facing the community, talking about the future of these games, and then you out of nowhere, they had no clue it was coming, laid them off the next day. That company has problems right now, and I hope Smite 2 lasts so that those people get to keep their jobs and things like that. But if Smite 2 doesn't do what it needs to do, there might be a world in that hi-rez doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks for those people a lot.
Let's switch gears and talk about an RPG. Avowed came out this past week. Seemed to be doing pretty favorably so far as Metacritic scores go. The critics, after 71 ratings are in, have it at 80. Kind of getting a little better than average user score. Almost 800 users rating it overall at a 6.8. So it kind of seems to be coming in, around the 6s and 7s mark for players, while critics saw it as an 8. This is a first-person view RPG, much in the way of, like a Morrowind, an Oblivion, Elder Scrolls series and stuff like that.
Perhaps the Fallout New Vegas?
Maybe. Made by Obsidian, so, this is one that I've been watching. I like Obsidian's work. I love the Elder Scrolls series. We're so far from an Elder Scrolls 6 right now that like this was kind of the perfect time. I'm showing the trailer, the official launch trailer here. I haven't played this personally yet, so I'm gonna I won't be reviewing it or anything like that. Just going off watching people play, some early reviews. I will say the one thing that struck me right away, and I don't know if either of you have been watching this as closely. I don't know how I feel about like the art style, particularly the character models in here. This is like another Dragon Age situation for me, where it's like your models look a little janky, but the most striking thing for me is like this looks almost nothing like the reveal trailers we got a few years ago. And I know games and development and directions change and budgets change and all that as a development cycle goes on, but it was like this doesn't exactly look like what we were shown as far as the direction. It's just kind of a jarring thing for me. I haven't decided whether I hate it or not. But yeah, I don't know. And then most of the reviews that I'm seeing so far are like, hey, it's a decent story, but you're probably going to see the twists coming. It's not really Obsidian in that nature, like Pillars of Eternity type twists that you won't see coming. The combat is like mediocre. Like it's a lot of you could do worse, but if you're looking for an RPG, Torch, here you go. Here's an RPG.
It's so I haven't played it yet. I have a friend who has, and his big critique on it was it's like a lesser Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Which didn't really give me much to go off of because all things are a lesser Fallout New Vegas.
Doesn't matter what genre.
Yeah.
Did you play Diablo 3? It's just a lesser Fallout New Vegas.
Yep. But looking at some of these images, I see what you mean about the character design, but also you could just tell me this was the newest Baldur's Gate 3 patch, and I'd believe you. Like a lot of these images of the character designs.
Oh, like during like the conversations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the designs themselves, I'd believe you. It's just Baldur's Gate 3 is what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very different gameplay, right? This is more that open world,
purely aesthetic,
But yeah, particularly, I do see what you're talking about, like when you see the back and forth, over the shoulder camera when you're talking to somebody. I definitely can get that kind of vibe. I mean, this is one that I remember talking about, Yod, back when we first, and both you and I were like, hell yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 is so far away. Yeah, give me one of these, and it's by Obsidian and Pillars of Eternity. Yeah, let's do it. And it looks like okay. It looks okay.
Yeah, I can't decide if the aesthetic things that are different from what we were shown a couple years ago is a deliberate choice.
Yeah,
because that's the big thing about style, right? If we're talking about stylization and making things a little cartoony or whatever, as opposed to realism, it has to be a deliberate choice. It's the was it back when I was going to art college and stuff? I was told it's the mistakes we make over and over again become our style.
Yep.
But are these deliberate mistakes that they've done? Deliberate changes? Or is it, oh shoot, we forgot to hit the final render button? Like when Mass Effect Andromeda first came out and they had the dead eyeballs and stuff, and it was like, oh shoot, someone forgot to hit the final render button before they
I've seen a lot of like Steam reviews and stuff that reference like Mass Effect Andromeda, and the overwhelming thing I'm seeing in most reviews, and Takao says this in chat, and I had already mentioned this portion, it seems like it landed with a resounding it's okay. Yeah. Right. The number one thing I'm seeing in like most Steam reviews is I wouldn't have paid $70 for this. If you haven't bought it yet, wait to catch it on a sale. Catch it on a sale.
I mean, if your studio's not hanging by a thread, Dragon Age villain, and you want to release an okay game for people to continue going on with, sure, why not? That's fine.
Oh, there's a good review. Solid 5, the perfect Xbox Game Pass game.
Which, I mean, like I said, if it's a game to just fill the space before the next big thing hits, that's perfectly fine. I'm good with an okay RPG.
I'm not good with it being $70 though. Like I'm just not.
To your point, yes, I agree with that. Yes.
You know, I'm just not. I'll catch it when it's on a Steam sale for like 35 or
yeah.
something. Yeah, sure. Then they got me, but I'm gonna have to wait on this one. I do want to ask the two of you though, and let's play a little Would You Rather, and we'll start with this one. So this will be a chat. Feel free to chime in if you're watching on YouTube or on ReadyCheckRadio.com. You can obviously throw your comments there on both sites. Let's play it. Watching this, I always kind of went back and forth throughout the years, and so I don't know if I have a where I land. But would you rather? Are you a first-person viewpoint baby, Torchwick, or are you a third-person viewpoint baby?
I'm first person as much as I can, with one exception. I cannot drive vehicles in first person in games. It's so bad.
You got to be looking at the roof of your car.
Yeah, I was just playing Forza Horizon 4 literally last night, and I crashed so many times trying to keep it in first person before I gave up.
So you're telling us we shouldn't get in a car with you?
And there's a reason I do not have a car.
What about you, Yod? First person or third person?
It does depend. If it's shooters, I do prefer first person. I was talking to my friend about this the other day. Is that when it's a shooter for third person, the fact that I keep wanting to look down the sights of the gun, and if you just do that instead of looking where the crosshair is going, it doesn't shoot right because the thing arcs if you're third person. So on shooters, I like to be first person, but like MMOs and stuff, yeah, third person all the way. I want to see.
I'm a third person all the way. Like even if it's a shooter, like I know shooters are like, can be a lot tighter in the first person view mode, and it's funny because most of the time, if I'm like playing a shooter, I'm more of I'm not a real Twitch shooter. I'm like the more strategy, grab a sniper rifle, find a spot, pluck, get a kill or two, find the next spot. So I'm always in first person aiming down scopes anyway. But I'd much rather like play third person. I saw Elder Scrolls, I don't know who mentioned it, Elder Scrolls being mentioned in there. When it comes to like RPGs in particular, definitely third person. I play Elder Scrolls Online in third person. But the Elder Scrolls series, as they mentioned in chat too, is like you could tell it is made with first person as the primary, playing experience. And like even when you get into Elder Scrolls the first time and you're like, oh, swap it to third person, it takes a little getting used to because the controls aren't as tight as if the game were truly made for a third person.
I can see that, yeah.
Third person viewpoint. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like Resident Evils, I enjoy the newer ones that are first person. I think they're really good, and they made the transition to first person much better than I thought they would have when we first saw Village, right, back in the day. Or not Village, Biohazard back in the day.
Right.
They're phenomenal, and I'll still play them, but I'm such a third person baby. I don't know why.
I mean, so for the creepy games like that,
immersion.
yeah, for the creepy games like that, like when the PT demo came out, which my PlayStation 4 over here still has on it, and it was Silent Hill in first person. To me, that was so much creepier than the third person view Silent Hill, because it's like you're in it, you're the atmosphere is there.
Oh yeah, I don't deny that it's absolutely probably better for a lot of stuff like that. And Village and Biohazard, I would totally agree with you. I streamed both of those games from start to finish here on the channel, and yeah, I absolutely agree. But like, it's my just preference is like, yeah, I'll stare at the back of your shoulders. Like, I don't care. I don't care. So catching up from some chat, Dominus is third person almost all the time. Chirac says first person for Bethesda games. Everything else is case by case. So yeah, I do have decades of Resident Evil being a third person game. Although it's funny, like if you think about it, we really didn't get true third person Resident Evil until what, 4?
Yeah.
So it's like even when you think back on Resident Evil, you're like, that truly wasn't third person in the way we're talking about, like the over the shoulder camera.
Fixed cameras in all of your games, or
So okay, let's take this away from Avowed then, and from RPGs, and just here's a few other would you rathers. Would you rathers? Are you, if you have the choice, and let's say they're both optimized, right? Let's not say, oh well, that one's not optimized. If you have the choice and they're both optimized for it, are you a mouse and keyboard player, or are you a controller player, Torchwick?
If you asked me this 2 years ago, it would have been mouse and keyboard, no question. But now, I think just playing so many more games on my PC that come from consoles or emulation or whatever, and especially Game Pass, where it's just these are Xbox games designed for an Xbox, but you can play them on your computer. I just went with controller for those because it felt right. And now, if I pick up a new game, I go for the controller first.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a game I've played for a while, then I'm still using mouse and keyboard, but anytime I pick up a new game, my default is to go grab my controller.
Yeah, and then only revert back to keyboard and mouse if it's like not optimized or you can't button map to your liking type stuff.
Yep.
What about you, Yad?
If it's an MMO, I have to go with mouse and keyboard. Anything else is a controller. I don't know why. I don't know why an MMO has to be mouse and keyboard for me.
So for the longest time, I hated mouse keyboard. Didn't matter the genre or whatever. And I think that has to do with I wasn't in my teens and early 20s, I didn't have a computer that was like a gaming computer. Like I just couldn't afford one. And so I was a console gamer, right? And so boom, controller right there. And so I think like when I finally did get into the ability to actually PC game in like my late 20s, early 30s, finally having a computer that could run more current stuff, I kind of was just like, oh, I hate this. Like, give me a controller. And I still play quite a few things with controllers on PC today. Like, obviously, there's no way I'm playing Rocket League, mouse and keyboard. You can, but no, I'm not. Final Fantasy 11, which I've been playing a lot of, is just so much faster and easier with the controller because that was actually made for just a keyboard, not a keyboard and mouse. It has keyboard mouse capabilities now, but it was really made for two hands on the keyboard. So yeah, I've always been a controller baby, but I think now I'm a keyboard mouse baby. Like if I'm going to play The Division, like that's a perfect example, right? If I want to play something like The Division 2, which I have on PC and on consoles, I will specifically come down to my office and play it on PC just to play it with mouse and keyboard. So I think I'm probably not like all the way in one camp, but I'm probably more in the keyboard mouse camp.
Might have to try Division 2 on the mouse and keyboard then, because I couldn't do it on the controller. I kept wanting to jump. I was used to Destiny controls, and I kept wanting to jump.
No, it's one of those. So it's one of those vaulting games where you use that. Yeah, you don't really jump.
I mean, to be fair, when's the last time you've jumped? Just in your day-to-day life.
Man, I jumped today.
Yeah.
Chirac says shooters need a mouse or I can't hit anything.
That's what the aim assist is for.
Takal says I refuse to play any game without a controller unless it's Bejeweled or some real-time strategy game. Even with a first-person shooter, I use a controller, even on PC. If I lose, it's a game. I played Division on PC on a living room TV with a controller. Yeah, I don't know. I can play it with a controller. And I think a lot of this has to do, too, with the fact that I don't care about PvP and shooters. Like, if I cared about PvP and shooters, I'd probably be all the way in the mouse and keyboard camp.
Right.
Yeah, but I just don't.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
You got one for us, Torchwick?
Well, I can look down the little list. What's next? Let me... Oh, yes. Headphones or speakers? Just in general for your gaming.
Like assuming you're not like listening to Discord and stuff. Like just
the gaming.
I'm playing the game.
And again, assuming equal quality on both. It didn't have a one in mind when it was designed, or if it's an older game, then it works well with both now. I'm headphones because I like the noise canceling. That's it.
You just don't want to hear anything but your game.
I want to be immersed. That is why I do first person, and that is why I like the noise canceling. I'm nothing if not consistent.
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna go with speakers. I like the surround, and I know you can emulate a lot of that with different surround style headsets and stuff like that. But give me some speakers and let me hear shit going on all around me. If I have the option, I'm definitely down. Yad?
I agree with you, Mike. Speakers all the way. I got a speaker system in the house.
Yeah, I got it
I
for
got
a
it for a
reason.
reason. Yes.
Definitely got it for a reason. Let me use that damn thing.
Yep. Yep, definitely.
I have a feeling I know where this next one's gonna go because I just feel like times have changed and everybody is probably, if you have the option, you are probably in one camp here. Yad, one monitor or two monitors while gaming?
So
Or
I
we'll say
have,
one
like,
or multi because I know some people
I was gonna say,
roll with
I've got
three.
like 3 or 4 computers going at the same time over here. So yeah, multi monitors.
What do you got,
Got a
Torchwick?
monitor back here.
I use 2 monitors right now, but I'd actually prefer single monitor.
Like when you're just gaming by yourself?
Yeah, or in general, I only have that one so I can have my notes up while I'm doing homework or stuff like that because I don't want to switch tab.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in college currently, I wouldn't need that. Like I prefer it all on here. So single monitor.
Yeah, this is weird. I'm gonna say single, but it's got a big caveat on it. I have a Samsung Odyssey monitor, so it's the big ass super immersion, ultra curvy. Let's cut off all your peripheral vision. So it's technically like 3 monitors.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Now,
so like I do fancy zone the shit out of the monitor. So technically it's 3, but since it's one monitor, I'm gonna count it as one. Damina saying mine is talking about mine. She says yours is single but must surround me entirely. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
That's
so,
mine.
yeah,
Only one monitor, but it must go
360.
all the way around my head.
I want to have to duck under it to get in the middle.
yeah. So when I started getting into heavy digital art and stuff like that, and I mean this is gonna date me, but I had 2 CRT 19-inch monitors.
Yeah.
So that's where I started with.
Jeez.
Yeah,
And you've just been
after
collecting since.
kind of, yes, but I mean the fact that they just keep getting larger and more monitors because this is a 27-inch. That's the I want to say also 27-inch wide. I think it is. I don't remember. It's been a while since when I bought it. Then I have a 24-inch behind me. There's a wide 20-inch over here that's vertical for references.
I'm gonna have more monitor than desk.
Yeah. I mean, so I have
Technically,
the
too.
Odyssey in front of me right now. But
Right.
right over there in my office, mounted to the wall, is a 32-inch television hooked up to a Blu-ray
Right.
player. So,
So yeah. So when
oh, and
this
over here is the
eventually-
theater. Like, there's actually a
Yeah.
projector and everything over here.
I've got a monitor and an old TV that I'm using as a monitor temporarily.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Like-
it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Most of
these
my
days.
old consoles are hooked into it. That's all it's supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense too, because you need the different inputs.
Yeah, and the way to do it, especially with today's TVs, they're 1080 or above anyways. So
Yad, what
Might as-
do you got next here? Since you're the artist, we'll give you the next one.
oh, let's see. The next one we have is realistic graphics or stylized.
I think we'll all be in the same camp.
You think so?
I
think
don't
so.
know.
All right, so we're gonna let the artist go first then.
Yes.
So like for the longest time, I was heavily into, of course, Warcraft.
Yeah.
As we all were. And when the wife tried to pull me into Final Fantasy 14 the first time, I couldn't do it because it was too realistic.
It was jarring.
Yeah, it was like I need the stylization. I need the slight cartooniness. But now, I mean, realistic graphics are nice, but they're not necessarily, I guess, necessary.
Well, they also age very
game.
quickly.
They do that. That's the other problem is because like the realism with the game engines stuff as we go generation to generation, it gets so much higher. But if you stylize it, you can still jump with the game engines and still keep that art style, and it'll still look more okay.
So which way you leaning, brother?
I'm gonna go stylized, even though most of the games I play right now are realistic.
All right, so Yod goes stylized. I'm not surprised as the artist of the group. I'm not surprised at all. What do you got, Torch?
I'm also gonna go stylized. Not only do I just prefer it, but also is a huge thing for me is it's got age well because I play a lot of old consoles and old games, and I want them to still be as enjoyable, not gross to look at. Like, do you remember? Like PS3 games.
I mean, I'm only modding Final Fantasy XI to hell and back to make it visually okay looking.
Oh, you do have mods running. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That was another thing the wife was asking is, did he mod that?
Oh, tell her it's mod to fucking hell and back.
I remember PS3 games that when they were trying to be realistic, and they were for the time, like,
yeah,
all credit to them. But look at them now; the skin is so weird and off-putting. It's got like uncanny valley because for some reason at the time, skin was the thing you had to get right, and now,
Oh yeah,
I don't like it. And so just to avoid that, also just stylized is no longer a problem.
Chirac going with both of you saying stylized is more memorable. To Cal saying realistic. I don't care that they don't age as well. I just need them to be great in the moment that I'm playing them. And I can appreciate a good stylized graphic settings. Absolutely.
Why do I feel like there's going to be a but here?
Yeah, there is a but. I prefer realistic. I do. Like, to me, something like Final Fantasy 14 is more aesthetically pleasing to me than a World of Warcraft. Not that World of Warcraft is something I turn on and I go, oh my God, I can't look at it. I can appreciate good stylized art and I can get along just fine with it. But if you give me the choice, hey, I'm going to make a new World of Warcraft. Do you want a World of Warcraft 2? Do you want realism or do you want stylized? I'm going to say, give me realism, man. You know, I got the fucking computer for it. Give me it.
You love the Warcraft movie, huh?
No. I mean,
I turned on.
It made your orcs realistic. What do you want?
I guess.
I turned on Perfect Dark on the emulator on Switch last night, and it was a mistake.
It was an absolute mistake. All right, here's one for you, but we're going to have to put a bar in here. We're going to have to put a line in here because this one's time-based. So we're going to say retro or current gen, like that, you know, which would you rather play? Like, which is your favorite? But we got to put a dividing line in here as far as what do we consider retro, since we're all of various age groups and our viewers are of various age groups too. And I think a good dividing line on this is probably the PS2, right? The PS2 and earlier we'll call retro, and the PS3 forward. Yeah, is it PS2? Let's do PS1.
I would think it's anything.
We'll call the PlayStation 1 and earlier retro. The PlayStation 2 and later we'll call current gen. Because I think once you start hitting the PlayStation 2, it really just became a graphics arms race, right? Like, you can look at a game today and go, that was PS1 era. That was Sega Saturn era when you see those types of 3Ds. When you start to see like some of the later developed PS2 titles, I think you start to say, okay, yeah, it got better, but it just got visually better.
The Dream, I kind of want to say when the Dreamcast dropped off, that was retro.
Well, the Dreamcast was part of the PS2 era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And kind of like, if you could get online, because I understand with the PS2 and the Dreamcast you could get online, but it wasn't.
No, I mean that's where I played Final Fantasy XI was PlayStation 2.
Right, but it wasn't a normal thing. With like the PS3 and the Xbox
and
360,
Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast front.
Yeah, I understand that, but like with the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, that's when it started to become normal for the consoles to be hooked up online constantly.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about from like an online perspective. I'm talking about from a gaming, audio, graphics, story standpoint, like retro versus current. And I think it's fair. I think maybe the PS2 and the Dreamcast and the original Xbox era, okay, fine. Maybe that's a little bit of a gray in between both. But before that and after that, I think are pretty clearly defined. So we'll we'll put the gray line on the PS2 and see where you hit, Torchwick.
Well, I have two things to say. One, retro. I can't give up Final Fantasy IX.
Fair.
That easy. If they give us a remake, I'll have to think about it. But and secondly, if you would like some psychic damage, common consensus with people my age when I'm telling them I play a lot of retro games is PS3 is retro now.
Oh no doubt. Yeah. If you go straight, that's why I said we're gonna have to set up a bar here because this is a time-based one. If you go straight by, years since it's been out, absolutely. Yeah, PS3 would be retro now. This one's really tough for me, right?
Same.
Because I've been alive for all of the eras, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't here for Pong, and I was on the very, very back end of Atari, right? The North American game industry collapse was in 83. I was 2. Like, I played my dad's Atari when I was 5, 6, 7. Like, you couldn't buy Atari games anymore. You go to Goodwill to buy Atari games at that point. But from like NES on, I have played it. And I've loved all of it.
Yeah. I played Atari 2600, I think.
Yeah, that was my dad's, was 2600.
Oh no, it was my cousin's. So, it was the same generation when I was playing it against new.
Are you older than me?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought we were like the same age. You can't be that much older than me. Like, do you mind me asking your age? If that's personal, we can skip it.
No, it's something I don't normally think about. I think I'm 46.
Oh yeah, so you're 2 years older than me. Yeah, you're not that much far ahead.
But
that's a big difference. Like when I'm 4 and you're 6, you're playing video games.
Right. Right. So like Tron, I got to play the original Tron when it was it came out. So it might have been like on discount at that time, but by the time we got around to it, but it was new in the store.
Tron's a good game. Sorry.
Well, no, the problem was that because we were like 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
Instructions? Who needs those?
Exactly.
We couldn't figure out how to fucking play the game.
Shirak saying current games with a retro feel. Takal always current. I'm not surprised at that one. Takal's very like bleeding edge. Give me the best stuff and then let me move on. This one's done. When's the next one? So I'm not surprised by that answer at all. If I can only do one going forward, it's probably retro, and that probably comes from more just nostalgia than the actual games themselves. I just have an awful lot of nostalgia because that's my childhood, right? That's my childhood, my teens.
Right.
That's me growing, my kids starting to grow up and me showing them those things and then having experiences playing PlayStation 1 and Super Nintendo and stuff with them. I just have a lot of memories with my dad and with my kids, so I think I have to lean that way to the retro side.
There's just too many games I can't give up. Like Final Fantasy IX, Symphony of the Night. You tell me I can never play Symphony of the Night again? Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing, Torchwick. Because like the newer games, they're fun to play and see the graphics advance.
Yeah.
But the older games, you just keep going back to. Like the other.
So are you retro or are you new? You still haven't answered.
I know, and that's the hard part because like the other week I was like, I'm going back and playing all the fucking Dr. Mario's.
Yeah, but you only really remember the ones you go back to. Like nobody's picking retro for Overblood.
True, it's true.
So, like, is it the era or is it the specific games that are actually?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
To me, it's specific games.
I think
It's
Jan
not really
can't
an
decide.
era thing.
He can't decide.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce back and forth on that one.
Maybe we give him the rest of the show to figure it out. Just two-man,
All
all
right,
the other
last
topics.
one, and then we'll hit some final news and call it a day here. You got to pick one genre to rule them all. One genre, and for the rest of your life, that's the only genre video game you can play. What genre are you taking for the rest of your life, Torchwick? RPGs. What genre, Torchwick, would you personally RPGs? Like, if you had to pick just one,
Go on.
what genre would RPG Torchwick pick?
Oh, that's rough. I think I have to go with, and you're really twisting my arm here, RPGs.
Your mother thinks that you would actually pick fighters.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I didn't think about that.
You could play your Final Fantasy IX, but if you do, you can never, ever play Injustice. Now you look like you're going to be sick.
I forgot about fighters when I was going over this in my head before the show. I was like, yeah, RPGs. There we go. Final Fantasy IX.
Mine is unequivocally RPGs, and by proxy, since I get to make the rules, that also counts MMORPGs, but specifically MMORPGs. That doesn't open up like all multiplayer gaming to me. It just opens up Worlds of Warcraft, Final Fantasy Online, stuff like that.
If I had to pick one, I'm going to give Torchwick a little more time here to ponder. If I had to pick one and only one to just, this is it. I can't play anything else the rest of my life. I'm going to one-up you on that, Mike, and I'm going to say Final Fantasy 14 only.
Oh.
Just because everything else has such a toxic fan base.
I don't know, man. 14s can be pretty toxic at times, too.
It can be, on average, everything that I've run into.
I will give you that. On average, it's usually better than
everybody's
most.
helpful, and they're mostly happy, and nobody's raging. You play Destiny, it's all toxic.
That's true.
You play Warcraft, it's all toxic.
All right, Torch,
In fact,
you gotta lock it in.
Digging its own toxic grave. But anyways, Torchwick.
I'm gonna lock in RPGs because I do love fighting games. Don't get me wrong.
You do.
But a lot of that just comes from playing against other people. In terms of their own game, like there's story modes for a lot of the newer ones, and you can have like arcade towers and arcade machines, but there's not a lot of inbuilt content. It's just about finding somebody. Where RPGs, like it's all inbuilt content. That's all it is, baby. And 10, 20 years later, you'll still be finding out new things about your favorites. Like, I could go the rest of my life with only RPGs. I don't think I could with fighters, because at some point, it's just like, okay, I got good enough that I can beat anybody I play. Where's the enjoyment now?
To Cal saying RPGs are like putting water in the dish soap. You can stretch them out longer. Would have went MMOs, but wasn't sure if the question included unlimited updates. Yeah. You can... That's fine. If you play 14, you get all the updates from here on out. Chirac says RPG is an extremely broad genre. True. So I should clarify that mine is like specifically what you would think of as RPG, right? Not games that have RPG elements. Like Castlevania Symphony of the Night certainly has RPG elements in a gearing system and a stat upgrade and a leveling system, but Castlevania Symphony of the Night is not an RPG.
I'll even cut mine further, specifically turn-based RPGs.
Oh, there
cut
you
out
go.
the MMOs, cut out the action turn-based RPG.
Speaking of MMOs, I want to show this to you guys because I don't know if you guys saw this. And I've actually gotten to mess with this team twice now. Apparently, since your mother was wrong, you're grounded when you get home, or you're grounded and you have to come home. So,
I'd like to see her enforce it.
Over on MMO Bomb, I put up a first look for it's not a first look. It's a gameplay action episode since it's not technically out yet. But if you are somebody like me that likes the PvE aspect of MMORPGs, particularly Dungeons and Raids specifically, Fellowship by Chief Rebel Studios is a game that's in development right now, which is literally just the dungeons. That's it. No open world, no leveling. There's a little homestead stronghold hub area that you can do things in and invite friends to and stuff. But it is all about all dungeons all the time. Even the out of dungeon progression system is just based on, have you done dungeons? Like, to gain abilities, you don't level at all. There's no progression like that. The progression system is A, about your gear, obviously, and then B, have you done a +3 difficulty version of any dungeon yet? Once you've done it the first time, you open up your specific class's next ability. So you could start filling out your hotbars. I've had a lot of fun. I've been with the team twice now doing behind-the-scenes gameplay and things like that, and was able to put this video up. So check it out if you like this type. It's one of those that you're gonna know it's for you right away or not. Like, there's no kind of thinking about this one. If you aren't down with just dungeon run after dungeon run, and you need the open world to make the dungeons worth it, then this ain't for you, bruh. Like, it just isn't, and that's okay. If you want to check it out, it's actually going to be part of Steam Next Fest there, which starts in 2 days. Next week starts on Monday, and you'll be able to play it for like a week through the entirety of Steam Next Fest, and so you can check it out. It's not going to be coming out for a while yet. It is going to be a box fee, a buy-to-play game. It's not going to be free to play, and they are going to do some like cosmetic stuff. And if you want to create your own character, unfortunately, they went the Wayfinder route. You're picking characters, predefined and pre-built characters, a la League of Legends. There's a lot of MOBA inspiration in the way everything works here as far as your characters, their abilities, and things like that. But I've had a blast. They've had some really creative dungeons and mechanics. Like, there's a boss going on the screen right now, which was pretty fun to fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. They still need to polish the UI. Some of it looks very Elv UI to me, and I keep telling them that every time I meet with them. I'm like, come on, let's get rid of this Elv UI stuff. But there is going to be I think there's a little bit of a danger with this one of some gatekeeping, because it is going to be geared towards like, can you take on the harder and harder and harder and harder and harder stuff? And their queue system really allows you to filter so that you don't have to deal with Torchwick jumping in and maybe not knowing the mechanics. Like, you can literally filter things like, has he done this before? Has he done this +4 before? Has he? So I do worry that this might skew a little bit towards a kind of maybe a little more gatekeepy, toxic-y community. We'll have to see. But it's one I'm certainly interested in. I don't even know if you knew about this or you and I had talked about this, Torchwick.
I watched the video because I saw the show notes.
Oh,
I'm diligent.
Very good.
Yeah, I watched you get punted down the ghost ship.
That was amusing.
Yes, your failure was impressive.
Yes, I agree.
I did all right. We survived.
Also, Moda was a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that they keep.
Interesting term.
Yeah,
I like the term Moda.
do you
I
really?
thought,
I don't.
Only because you don't.
Yeah.
You thought
They
you were
they
gonna
do
get
call
through
it
this
a
segment
MODA,
without calling it
MODA, a multiplayer online dungeon adventure. And I get it. There's a lot of MOBA inspiration here, but I hate that term. Like, please don't ever let that catch on.
I've done my job. That is all I was here for, to remind you that they called it a Moda.
Are you interested in it at all? Like, are you down with an MMO without the MMO? It's just the dungeons. Like, they don't do like 6, 8, 10, 25 person raiding yet, but they're open to it. It's 4-person dungeons right now, and that's it.
I'm down for it, but those dungeons gotta be damn good.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta know the dungeon design. You gotta make them unique. And from what I saw in the video, they have good dungeon design and boss design. Like, it looks fun, but how many of those are they gonna get out before they start falling back on patterns and reusing certain gimmicks? And I'm gonna keep up with it. I'm gonna try it out next week, and then I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
Yeah, let me know if you want to hit it up. We'll hit up some dungeons. Yod, what about you? Does this strike your fancy at all?
I totally agree with Torchwick there. It looks like it'll be interesting to check out, and it all depends on how they move forward. Because as we've talked about before, like with Overwatch and other things that have predefined characters, you have to have that story to go with it, and this looks like it kind of cut that completely out.
Yeah,
And
right
so,
now it's like backstory on the character, like a selection screen. Like there's a text box. Hopefully
and
there'll be some stuff in game, but
yeah, that can get you so far.
yeah.
But like I said with League of Legends, to me as an outsider who's not a League of Legends player, it didn't really hit my radar until they started doing little animations for character skins and stuff like that. And then of course Arcane came out, things like that. So it needs story for people to be invested.
Yep. Hey, a few quick hits here, and then we'll head over to games of the week and call it a week. Here's a survival game coming out in May that I might actually care about. I'm not huge in the survival front, but I've always been amazed that we've never had a Dune MMO. Like that just seems for like the last decade. I've been like, how is there not a Dune MMO? Like, if you ever wanted to just grab an IP and not have to worry about building it yourself, here you go.
There's a lot of
how have we not had a Dune
lore.
MMO, and how have we still to this day not had a World of Darkness MMO? I know CCP Games was working on one for a long time, and then it ended up getting canceled and all that. But those are just like two IPs, and I'm like, how do we not have MMOs?
You just want vampires, Mike.
Shut up.
So I haven't read or watched Dune, but I know of it. What the hell's World of Darkness?
Vampire the Masquerade is part of the World of Darkness.
Oh, I thought that was just Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, no, that entire universe is called the World of Darkness.
All right.
Yeah.
They got one good game and then got real excited about it. Okay.
Hey, Bloodlines 2 will come out at some point. Shut up.
Stab him in the heart there,
Yeah, so all of their different vampire werewolves, like all the things that go in that whole universe, that's the World of Darkness, White Wolf.
Okay.
And CCP Games, makers of Eve, they were working on one for the longest time, and then it just got shelved and scrapped. So, but anyway, if you're looking for a survival one out here, this is Dune Awakening. Comes out in May. It's going to be $50. You can pre-order it soon, and get like a bonus or two, a skin or whatever. But they did put up the character creator already, and a benchmark test if you want to run it. This is by Funcom Games. So I've always loved Funcom. I'm a huge Secret World fan. Original Secret World, not so much Secret World Legends. However, Funcom does have that, like, I don't know. It's kind of like their history, their MO of like putting out a good game, or a game that's almost there, and then like not doing anything with it anymore. Like they just
didn't they do a Conan?
Yeah, so they do Conan Exiles, so that's their survival game in the Conan franchise, or IP world. And now this is Dune survival, but there is going to be persistent world elements, politics, stuff like that, like you would expect in a Dune game. That's the aspect that they keep using the MMO term, but they're staying away from like MMORPG. It is more multiplayer survival. There just happens to be MMO elements. I'm interested in it. Very interested. I like the Dune franchise. I love the movies. I love the books. It's time for me to reread the books. So I did do the character creator. I did run the benchmark. I'm getting ready, for it to come out in May. Any interest here? I know we're not like the exact like survival crew here, but
No. I don't know anything about Dune. More specific, I know like desert planets and space drugs, and that's it.
Yeah, you got to get that spice. You're not really into this like the survival games though. Like you and your siblings have always done Minecraft, but like you never took that to anything more current.
Yeah, no, it was never for me, just being a survival game, but the IP doesn't really help in my case. It's like I know that name, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I've just heard it before.
Yeah. Yod?
I enjoyed their Conan game a bit, so I mean it's Dune, so I may check this out. You said the character creator system up, right?
Yeah, it's up and the benchmark's up. Torchwick, you said you created a character and you didn't like it?
No, I said I had thoughts about the character creators, because the next topic also had their character creator up already.
Yep.
And you could port your character. And my thing that I was gonna say is I don't I spend like 5-10 minutes in a character creator max.
Yeah.
I don't get why these things are putting their character
Hey
creators out
man,
there.
some
Being like,
people like
oh,
it's a half hour long process
I,
if the
Mm.
tools are there.
I just don't understand that. And then I read the MMO Bomb article on the next topic, and
The next
it
topic, by the
finally
way, is
clicked
Blade
for
and Soul
me.
Neo. So if
Yeah.
you played Blade and Soul back in the day and you got really turned off by its monetization, which is exactly what happened to me covering it over on MMO Bomb, this is a rebooted version of it. It's the same story and everything, so you don't have to, like, that's not going to be new. But it's graphically updated, engine-wise, performance-wise, lighting-wise, and the Blade and Soul's always had one of the more robust character creations out there. Like, you could create some absolute fucking monstrosities in there, like literal monstrosities in their character creator. This is
Korean games, yeah, tend to be
globally
that.
coming out on the 25th. So on Tuesday, it will launch. Will be free to play as well, but won't have a lot of the gross monetization that the OG Blade and Soul, which is still a thing and will still be a thing, has. It's the same character creator. It's just updated visually to go.
Yeah, so that was I was wondering, like, I don't get why everybody's excited, why they're putting the character creators out early. That's a big deal, apparently. And then I read the article on it, it finally clicked. It's not about the characters. You gotta get your name locked in before anybody else can.
Yep. On BDOs, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it's about. That's why people are excited. Nobody gives a crap about character creators. They just don't
I
have
mean-
to add extra X's to the end of their name.
Yes and no. Like I said, in the case of Korean games, a lot of them, their character creation system is very heavy and is a large part of the game. And I may or may not have it up on my screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Takao, how does it compare to BDO's creator, as in Black Desert Online? So Blade and Soul Neo's character creator is the same as the original Blade and Soul. Black Desert Online, I still think, has the most robust character creation tool in MMOs right now. Like, period. I think
It really does.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think BDO is there. But this one's not too shabby either. Last bit here, we may be seeing an announcement soon about Tony Hawk, a new Tony Hawk game. There's already somebody that's going to be or could possibly be in one, kind of spilling the beans that they might be in one. But this coming from an Easter egg that Charlie Intel posted on Twitter. Inside Call of Duty's Black Ops 6 grind map. And I'm showing you the upper right-hand corner specifically here because there was a piece in the background that is clearly the Tony Hawk logo and says 3/4/25. So could be getting an announcement in a week or so here on March 4th about a potential Tony Hawk project. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go do our games of the week. Games of the Week is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here. It's where all three of us are going to give you a game. Could be a video game, mobile game, board game, card game. Could be something we've played in the past or playing now or have never played but think you should check out. And you let us know in the comments while you're answering all of our Would You Rathers which one of us gave the best recommendation and recommend something to us as well. I'm going to go first because mine's pretty easy. I'm going to recommend Fellowship. You only have about a week to check it out as part of the Steam Next Fest. It starts Monday, February 24th. But I'm a huge PvE dungeon guy. I love dungeons. I love dungeons and raids. This is a game that, and I've made this concern known to the team multiple times, if you do the stuff outside of the dungeons right, and all of the dungeons continue in the quality of the ones that I've been playing, and there's a reason for me to want to keep doing them over and over and over and over again, you got a customer. But your stuff that gets me to do them over and over and over again better be worth it, better feel good, better be sticky. But if you just want to get a feel for it, no better chance. It's free during Steam Next Fest to go check out their demo. So I'm going to recommend Fellowship. What do you got, Torchwick?
Well, do you like cute characters?
Sure.
Do you like golf?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to play golf as Kirby?
I believe I have in my day quite a few times.
Yes, I'm going to recommend Kirby's Dream Course. It's just Kirby golf.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
No more needs to be said.
Yep. Now your mother's like, what is this? She's in chat. OMG. Yeah. Kirby's Dream Course, fantastic game.
Very cool.
What do you got, Yod?
I'm gonna say go, dick around in Blade and Soul Original for a couple days, and then switch over to Neo on Tuesday.
There you go. There you go. Sounds good. That's going to do it for this episode of Gaming Gumbo. We'll be back next Thursday with Relic Grind and Saturday with Gaming Gumbo, and then we'll be off the following week while Torchwick and I travel to North Carolina. Wish us luck for our 3-person team event, Final Fantasy TCG. Until next time, though, Yod, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Yard Artworks on all the socials, and of course on Redbubble for stuff. And here on the monthly wrap-up show, Gaming Gumbo.
Torchwick, you made it through your first show. Where can everybody find you?
Anywhere where there's an account that's Torchwick0, unless it's a website you'll judge me for being on, then it's not me.
Then it's totally not me. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at Magic Man 1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, and you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, a streamer, Final Fantasy locals, and more. Stay safe. See you on the servers.